say before anything else, we have made a commitment to the family and the attorney to stand with them. Tony Herbert, who is the Brooklyn East National Action Network, our Brooklyn chairman, Kirsten John Ford, will be organizing our members to join in the canvassing that many are doing. And we certainly salute those that are doing that. I've pledged $5,000 personally to add to the reward. National Action Network will also be adding. And we are calling for a expedited investigation as to what happened. No one needs more than 2 weeks to explain where the files are and where the breakdown occurred. To have supervised passage for people, young people with special needs, and for that supervised passage to break down, someone must be held accountable. Someone decided to wait a minimum of 45 minutes to call us into authorities. Someone waited and made the call not to call Vanessa the mother for an extended period of time. These things are inexcusable and unexplainable. And the reason we raised this as a civil rights organization is we have no interest in this. The lawyer is raising it for justice, but you'll say, well, lawyers do that. We have no part of a lawsuit. But we're saying they should not in any way try to act like this is frivolous or somebody seeking some money. They are seeking their son, and they're seeking the explanation of why 2 weeks later they're even in this situation. And for this attorney and his wife to stand up, the community must stand up behind them, and every step of the way we will be with him and his wife as they pursue justice and pursue the findings of this young man. We also thank, and I was glad to see the man who gave them the use of a Winnebago. Ordinary New Yorkers of different races and classes have stepped forward and shown the sensitivity the city fathers should have shown. It takes nothing for the leaders of the city to call this mother and say, since he was in the custody of the city, our heart is with you. They don't have to prejudge a case to say to the father, since he was on our property with our responsibility, we're going to do all we can. Since they did, we did, and we will stay with them. Attorney.
Thank you.
We need you in front of the mics,
Yeah,
please.
you come over here. Move this chair over.
Can I stand? Oh, will the mics pick me up?
Ready, sit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know, when Vanessa came to my office, the first thing she did was say, you know, I don't really know what to do with this. I don't know how to handle this situation. First of all, there was a lot of press at her door and a lot of phone calls, and she wanted some help with, you know, how to avoid it, how to handle it, and wanted to know what she should do. And I want you to understand that we didn't bring a lawsuit for no reason. Special needs children are now being mainstreamed, and that means they're in the same school buildings as mainstream children. And that may be a very good thing. I'm not qualified to comment on that, but I do know one thing. If you're going to have them in the same school, you have to have the place set up. You have to have the people trained, the safety agents, the paraprofessionals, the teachers, the administration, so that they can distinguish who's who and know what to do to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. So part of this lawsuit, why the Reverend is asking for the city to give us the files they are required to give us under the Freedom of Information law, is because when we look at it and we investigate it, the Department of Education will be forced to review what they've done, why they're doing it, how they're doing it, and how they have to do it differently tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's not going to bring Avonte home. And that's why we're doing what we're doing to try to bring Avonte home. But in the meantime, we also have to do something else. And I know Vanessa is okay with this. We've got to make sure that this does not happen to a single other child in the city of New York, and certainly not a special needs child the most vulnerable of our children. So that's why I'm asking the city of New York, give me your files. Give me your files, because this is not under further investigation. You said it, and you said it right. It takes a couple of days to figure out the few players involved and tell us what they have to say and why they have to say it. The investigation that's going on now has to do with finding Avonte. It has nothing to do with finding out why Avonte went missing. And we are entitled to know. Vanessa's entitled to know. Daniel's entitled to know. His grandmother, Ms. McCoy, is entitled to know. His brothers are entitled to know. We, the people of the city of New York, people who have special needs children, are entitled to know.
Let me just add that this is Mrs. McCoy, the grandmother, and his brothers are here. This is a family standing up for this young man. We'll take 2 or 3 questions.
Could somebody talk about the size of the reward, what it is, and then what it's being increased to? Say I'm not clear on.
She said it was about over 80,000.
Well, now that you added 5, we're around 85.
85,000.
Vanessa, 15 days is a very long time for everyone, and certainly for everyone who's worrying about Avonte. What's that wait like for you? How does today and every day that goes on here feel for you compared to that first day, second day, third day?
This feels like it's
Wait, we need you at the mics, otherwise I'm sorry, it's not going to pick up.
Does that work? Mm-hmm. You want to switch seats with me?
That would be better,
That should be in the middle.
And move as close as you can, because you have a soft voice and we want to hear it. Okay.
It feels like eternity every day, you know, just waiting to hear news, you know, if they found him or not. So it's just terrible. It's just like a nightmare. I can't wake up from, you know, every day waiting to see my son come home, praying that someone has found him. I don't wish this on anyone, any family, to experience this. None. And it should never happen.
If someone sees Avonte, what do you want them to do? How should they handle it?
I want them to call the authorities. I don't want them to call the next day, a couple hours later, saying, I seen him. You know, when you see him, you know, just hold on to him if you can, you know. Follow him if you can, but make that call. Make that call.
What is your next step that you're going to take if they don't proceed with the paperwork?
Well, if they don't proceed with the paperwork, first of all, there's 2 separate ways to go about it, and one of them has to do with following the lawsuit. Believe it or not, the way the suit goes on is after we file the notice of claim, which we already did. They have the right to sit down and take her testimony, and she knows nothing, but they have the right to take her testimony, because that's what goes on with municipal cases, before we have the right, and she has the right to get anything from them. But we'll consider taking separate action in court and asking that the Department of Education, rather, and the police department follow up with what they're required to do under the FOIA law.
Do you have any idea, any working theory at this point? Do you think somebody has Avonte? Do you think he's been abducted? I mean, do you have any working theory that you...
I think it would be reckless to go with a theory. We know who had Avonte, and that was the school. And we want them to explain how they no longer have him. Let's talk about what we know. He was in school, and they need to tell us what happened. And that's what we're saying today.
Listen, the answer is very simple. There was, after the videotape of Avonte leaving the school, and that's the last place he was, there has not been a stitch of credible proof about where he is, and anything else would be exactly what we said. It would be a guess, and it would be reckless to do so.
The only reason I'm asking is my editor said there was a report on CNN that the family said they thought he was abducted. That's what I'm trying to... That's false? Okay.
No, it's not that it's false. It has been 15 days. This is a mother. Your mind goes where your mind goes, and among the possibilities is that someone has him, but
We don't know.
And I don't think, forgive me, that questions in that regard are really going to help Vanessa and his parents right now. And I have to tell you, among all the people in this room, they're the ones that count.
We'll take one more, and we want to finish.
Is Texas EquiSearch joining in the search effort? The
Daniel, they
organization
came
for
up,
Texas?
didn't they?
Yes, they're here, they're just waiting to go. We're trying to get as many volunteers together, because they want a search team. We want a large amount of numbers to show up. So that's why we're asking everybody to stop by the tent today at some time during the day. That way we can sign you up and get this team together. But they're definitely on board.
What kind of outside resources can they offer?
Could you, we're not getting anything at the
I can't be
microphone.
specific, but I just know they have a very, very great reputation, and anyone can look that up.
How many volunteers do you have?
Number-wise, we don't know, but it's been a lot. It's definitely been over at least 500, 600 people that have stopped at the tent. We're out there 24 hours a day, so we get people coming after work 4 or 5 in the morning. It's been overwhelming.